Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of GoTigers247's Film Room. I'm your host, Christian Fowler, and joining me, as always, former Memphis Tigers O-lineman, Gabe Kuhn. Gabe, another week, another blowout road win. Are you surprised?
Not at all. USF's offense was, I think you alluded to this on Twitter, miserably bad. I mean, they were horrible. The Tigers got off to a really bad start. Brady made some really weird decisions early in that game, but he was being confident with the ball. You saw it sort of turning around, and then eventually it turned around. And you saw Kadarian Jones, a guy who was basically the only weapon that hadn't been used to a big extent, get used to a big extent.
Yep.
Six receptions, 99 yards, and a TD.
Yeah, no, it was perfect because, once again, it goes to what we've been saying of you have no idea where it's going to come from. Any week, any player can go off. And the exact point that we touched on last weekend, that the first possession of the game teams do well on, happened once again. And then you had the turnovers after that, and you only allow 3 points, which is big. But the way that they start these games, I'm afraid at some point it's going to hurt them. It hasn't yet, so they're doing a good job of adjusting and making adjustments after that first drive. But it's been rough in the beginning. I don't really understand it. It doesn't make much sense. I mean, you knew what USF was going to come out and do. They cannot throw the ball. You said it perfectly, Jordan McLeod. Can't throw.
And I think it has to do with going to a place that doesn't have a big emotional high. You can get sleepy on those games, especially in Tampa. They're in a big, huge, open stadium with no fans in it. And you can get lulled to sleep early in games that way, but it was good to see them sort of roll that after the first quarter, basically. Patrick Taylor got involved, 3 TDs. It was good to see him back.
How impressive was it for you? Because I know the past few weeks, all we've talked about is Brady White, and for good reason. Kenny Gainwell hasn't went over 100 the past 2 weeks. This week, I think they rolled up, nearly 400 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. How impressive is it that this team can go from a team that can throw for 300 yards a game and have, I think Brady had, 6 touchdowns last week, 5 passing, 1 rushing, and then now this week just run the ball all over USF.
It's just a testament to Mike Norvell. Like, he has said on multiple occasions that his offense is built for playmakers, and that's just what it has been. No matter where they're getting it from, they put themselves in a position to get it from everywhere. And that O-line has done well. I think they've sort of come into themselves at this point in the season. Coming into the season, there was some talk. I think Ole Miss was an ugly game. Navy was an ugly game for them. But they've come into themselves, and even with some new pieces, some young pieces have been really good.
Absolutely, and we talked about it so much about how they would use Patrick Taylor and Kenny Gainwell. I think we really, really saw it against USF.
Yes.
Use Kenny Gainwell on those outside zones, on those off-the-tackle plays. You can also use him inside, obviously, and then use Patrick Taylor as the hammer and on the goal line, and it worked to perfection.
And when Brady's in a funk like that early in the game, you need to be able to lean on something like that, and that is what helped them get through that game so well in the fashion they did, winning 49-10. Even if Brady has a bad start, they can keep those guys and lean on those horses in the backfield. Let's rock and roll.
Let's do it.
All right. They started ugly.
Not a good one.
Started ugly. Kelly Joyner.
It's like their third string. Well, he was a receiver that played running back in this game. He
wasn't all that big.
It was out of necessity because their 2 starting running backs were out.
So what they do here is run a power scheme. You'll see 78 here, pull around. And I have to give them credit here. Hats on hats. They get up to the 3rd level, and Quindell Johnson up here, the safety.
Just doesn't. He takes the wrong angle, doesn't. He just kind of sits back.
It's tough because, everybody's had it up, and he's the last guy. That run fits hard. He doesn't know which side to pick. And you sort of have to give credit where credit's due. That was a really good job by their O-line getting.
It was good. It was well blocked, but what I don't like to see there is Memphis's linebackers are just sitting back waiting.
I agree.
If you see run, go attack. Watch, J.J. Russell's still 5 yards deep when this offensive lineman gets up on him. You can't, as a linebacker, you can't do that.
Especially with the pulling guard, you have to make sure you get downhill at him. But hats on hats. This is a really good job on this, is what we call a deuce block right here by this left tackle and this left guard up to J.J. Russell. That's a really good job.
Yeah, it was well blocked. Quindell Johnson was kind of caught in no man's land, and feet were stuck in the mud, and that's what happened.
And they get it down. They get him down. Obviously gave up a TD here, and it was sort of part of their slow start. And that was one thing that I said coming into the game. They probably need to figure out how to start fast, and they sure didn't. But
that's a little fellow.
Yeah, and fast, I guess it counts for starting fast. But here, Brady White. Again, First 3 plays basically are pretty ugly.
Yeah, not good. And I didn't get to watch this because I was still at the basketball game. Obviously, went through and watched it. Was this pass interference?
It was a little bit. There was contact.
Only one angle on here.
There was contact right here, and he grabbed him, and you see, so it sort of looks like it. But I'll say the one thing about this play is
still a terrible ball.
There is 6 man. It's a 6-man protection. There's 3 men out in the route.
Yeah.
And he throws it to the side where there's 2 guys covering. It's just not a good read. End of the day.
Bad play. I mean, it's not even close to Calvin Austin.
You can't count on a pass interference call to bail you out of this. Right. This is just a bad decision, a bad play early in the game. He fixed it though. So with Brady, you're gonna have to take some of these bad ones every once in a while. With how good he's been playing, I mean, people are gonna get spoiled. That's how they've been around this place for a while with the quarterbacks in the past, right? Riley, Ferguson, Paxton Lynch. So, I mean, he's got to make a mistake every once in a while, and this is no exception.
I think Kenny Gainwell was blocking a nose tackle there. Let's take a
close. Let's dive into this. Take a closer look.
Because you see, he motioned into the backfield here, and
that's just a big linebacker.
Is it a linebacker? Okay,
yeah.
Because they brought
big old linebacker.
But still, to see a running back up in the business like that. For
the most part, that's decent scheming by South Florida to fake a blitz and then bring 5 and drop an extra guy out into the coverage. I mean, it's just a good job and a bad read.
Yep, absolutely.
At the end of the day, Kenny Gainwell got going. I mean, it was best game in a while. What did he end up with? 111 yards.
126.
126. Wow, I was way off.
It's okay. You were close. You were close. Yeah, back-to-back without 100 yards, and then he really didn't have any massive runs. Like, he didn't have any 50, 60-yard runs, but it was just
Can you tell me what play this is right here?
I'm assuming since you're asking, this would be G lead.
Yes, you'll see the left guard here, Dylan Parham, come out here. And this is how you know when this is blocked up well, when you have a crease right here between 77 Obina and the left guard pulling Dylan Parham. That crease right there, I could run through. And I don't know. I'm faster than you think, man. Like, we've had this conversation.
Are you making that cut right there?
No, absolutely not. And then the strength he uses here to get through this arm tackle is really good.
That's not all. That's a full shoulder body.
But I think for the most part, this was blocked up really well. And then him making someone miss and being strong through the hole is what makes it a big play.
Always got to give props to Joey Magnifico as a blocker because he's
done so well.
He's so good.
I can't stress that enough because, like, when he got to Memphis, it wasn't like that.
I mean, he's not a big tight end.
He's a smaller dude. He's beefed up and he's found a way to be an inline blocker. He used to be a split off the ball type of blocker, but he has continued to develop, and I think he's putting himself in a good position. Here's another INT.
This one is a little bit different because it's open right here.
And they've been running this play. Remember, they've been running the sort of vertical with a wheel in behind it, and they've trying to play with those levels. And here, they just don't fall for it. Good play. Give him credit.
That corner did an incredible job of sitting down, which I can't tell if that's his assignment.
You want to know why?
Why?
Safety of the top.
That's what I'm saying. His assignment there is to kind of sit down and watch for anything coming back at him.
So they were leveling this off. They were not going to let this happen. This was actually a really good defensive call by them, and you knew that they had a good defense, somewhat good defense going into this thing. And this is just a good play, in my opinion. He's got to put a little. Brady's got to put a little bit more zip on that ball and get
it out early.
Get through. Like you see, he doesn't really get through that ball quite, and that's why it's easily sort of jumped and taken the other way
for a big return.
But I'll say this: after this,
he turned it.
Everyone just nestled in, settled in.
Brady White making tackles, man. Come on.
Was it Dylan or him?
It was both.
And know what I've noticed? They have these the Jordan 1s.
The Jordan 1s, the retros are awesome. You like that?
It's like, why couldn't I get just like one pair when I was there? I would hang those up, get them signed by the whole day. That's cool stuff right there.
Hey, you missed out by a couple years.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's what it is, man. JoJo, I can't stress this enough. He's down here basically on the 20-yard line marker here.
Just diagnoses it.
He's been so good instinctually this year.
Been awesome.
Like with reverses, he hasn't gotten caught up in that. And here you'll see it's no different. They bring a blitz from the long side of the field. He drops off. He reads a screen immediately, dips under the first blocker, and is immediately on that tight end. Mitchell Wilcox is a good player. Yeah. This is a good player, and I see why they were trying to get this done. But with JoJo, he stays at home. He doesn't panic, and he makes the play because he's instinctual.
And it looks perfect because you got two guys out there to block one, but JoJo just made a play.
Yeah. I mean, he's faster and stronger. and an athlete. He's more of an athlete than what number is a 64 here. And I think we can say that pretty comfortably.
Yeah, he didn't look too athletic trying to get out there.
And here's another angle. You see him sitting down. He diagnoses it, gets under the first blocker, and beats the second. Just a really good play.
It is. It's what, I mean, and like you said, it's what he's been doing all year.
And it's a momentum changer when you have a guy that stays at home like that and makes a tackle for loss in that situation. Because that team could have potentially gone ahead and taken some momentum.
Right.
And in that type of play, they call them havoc plays now. Those plays set them back, and that's a good thing that he did. Right here, let me guess. Is this a G lead? I don't think it is, though.
I don't think so. I think this is power scheme.
Oh, no, they just run a basic outside zone here. I love this here. Kenny Gainwell is sort of searching and probing for who he's supposed to get on. Then he gets on him late, and I know Patrick's about to run him over here, but that block is what makes this whole thing go and makes it a touchdown. He trucks him a little bit, but I mean, really good job.
But I mean that also, and
this is a look they haven't shown, by the way.
Yeah, that he's kind of split out a little bit wide with the bunch and then a toss, so it just shows you that Mike Norvell is continuing to be creative. But from Kenny Gainwell, you just have to love to see a player that just makes the team better. Like he doesn't have to get the ball every play. We've seen him be a willing pass blocker. He's willing to go out and block like this. And to me, it's really cool to see Patrick Taylor back out there. Obviously scoring three touchdowns. And this is, I want you to see this from the front end of this play. He doesn't necessarily know who he's going to. He just has certain rules on this play. Goes out, sees that body's taken up, turns up, takes the unblocked man. And that's what makes this play a touchdown instead of a 3-yard game. Right.
And that's just effort and good job all the way around by everybody getting a hat on a hat.
Patrick Taylor rocking those Jordan 1s, too.
See, that's what I'm saying. Golly, man. Where was I for this?
It's okay. Maybe they'll send you.
No, they won't. No, they won't. I can guarantee it. And here, this is, I watched this when this got sent to me, obviously. And this is innovation defensively.
Yes.
I bet you they'll never do this again. This is a scheme thing. When you see Everett Cunningham standing up into a 3-man front, they probably saw that every time they bring a linebacker, they're going to try and make a running back take him. And you'll see the running back try to take Everett Cunningham.
Didn't work.
That's not going to happen. No. Dead. Like, that's not going to happen. You'll see him blitz. They let him go right at the running back.
And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. I think you give Jaleel Clemens maybe next year, maybe his junior year, he's all conference defensive.
He might need a little bit more
more strength. I think he needs a little bit more strength, a little bit more weight, a little bit more time to adjust. But the bend, and the speed off the ball, I mean, he's going to be a difference maker, an 8 to 10 per year sack guy. He is going to be a legit defensive end in this conference for a couple years.
But in this situation, there's two things you got to protect from, and that's people pressing the pocket and people collapsing the pocket on the edge. And the quarterback has nowhere to go if you have someone coming up the middle and around the edge. There's nowhere to go. And you'll see here, I think Everett Cunningham mostly makes this play by just running directly at the running back. Yeah. But that's a good scheme by Adam Fuller to get a mismatch like that.
Because that running back's not blocking.
Look at that. It's
Everett
impossible.
Cunningham. No. Like what did we say last week? We said this last week when watching the film against Houston about Clayton Tune. Bad quarterbacks cannot deal with pressure up their face. When they have pressure coming up the middle and it's in their face, they freak out. And that we saw this 4 or 5 times.
Let's see if his eyes even are downfield once he sees his running. See, he's freaking. Yeah, it's already at him. He has no chance.
No, we're not even going to try to get out of this.
Yeah.
So
but that's just good scheme, good job by both those guys getting back there.
Yeah, we called it. Got to get pressure on bad quarterbacks because they can't throw the ball.
Head spin.
So with this play, I was actually still on the way home from the Ole Miss game, listening to this on the radio. You get the snap from Dustin Woodard over the head. I think it was, 2nd and 30.
Yeah, it set him back quite a bit.
Yeah, 20-yarder to DeMonte Coxey. And then I figured Norvell would be aggressive, and he definitely was, and it paid off. Because this was, it's still a decently close game at this point, 14-10. Memphis had the momentum, but points definitely were big here for them.
I want to point something out here with the O-line. This is good job by Brady being able to diagnose this. He gets him with the hard count, and he notices this blitz from the top of the screen. You see these guys, these defensive backs coming down.
Yeah.
So he gets them with the hard count. Okay, now they reset. You'll see Obina. He'll say, okay, we have 2 guys out here. 1 sec. Here we go. You can see. Makes the call. And they pick up all 5 of these guys, even with an exotic blitz. Really good job by the O-line. But then Kadarian, we've seen Coxie do this 4 times this year, 5 times.
Definitely happening against Navy. Definitely happening against SMU. This has to be something that they preach on these routes. Is when you catch it on that back shoulder, turn around and turn up the field.
Yeah, turn not inside, turn outside, turn away from where that guy's trying to cut you off. It's just
let the momentum of that ball take you back, and it's going to make that defensive back miss just about every time.
And before the season, there was a lot of people, asking me, who you think will be a guy that can step up in big situations, but won't necessarily be the most important guy. Game in, game out. And I said Kadarian Jones, and he finally showed up really big in this game, 99 yards like we alluded to earlier in this TD right here. He's just a good, just solid wide receiver. Really knows how to block and make sure, that he can move. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He can play wherever you want him to. He's a good move wide receiver.
Right. And he hasn't been as big as Antonio or DeMonte this year, but he's been fairly consistent all year. I think he had 60 yards against Houston. He's been fairly consistent, and he finally got his breakout performance.
And I think that's why early in the year you saw, Antonio Gibson behind him before the pop injury, obviously. Because he can just do a lot within this offense in different things, whereas Antonio has very big specialties that he has put on display this year so far. Right here, of course. How many times have we seen this?
This is
trips to the top of the screen.
So I think that touchdown to Kadarian really gave Brady some confidence because that is a hell.
It's a dime
of a throw. That's on a rope.
What I love is they always put Coxie down here by himself to the one side of the field.
Yeah.
Like I said, trips to the top of the screen. And it's kind of a blitz, ugly, jumbled look for them.
That doesn't look good.
It's just...
You have 5 guys.
They try to play with the O-line's mind.
3 guys standing up here or 2? 3. That's just... No.
They're trying to play with the O-line's mind.
5.
5. All of them.
Standing up. Yeah,
trying to play with the O-line's mind. They bring games and all that. But they drop into a really, really, really soft zone. This is 7.
Yeah.
This is 7 guys just sort of looking right at the quarterback, trying to read his eyes. But when you place a ball like this, I don't care what eyes you're reading. That's touchdown.
These are just throws, like we say every week now for the past 4 weeks. These are throws that he could not have made last year, could not make early in the year. That is a very, very, very good throw, and not an easy throw to make at all.
And I don't think it was that he couldn't make the throw last year. I think it was more that he didn't have the confidence to do it. I think he always was able to at least throw it. He just didn't feel like he could. He could just really let go of it.
He knows now.
Yes.
He knows
especially
now.
To this guy. Yeah. This guy gives him a lot of confidence. Right here, when I watched this play, I was like, Austin Hall sack, because he dropped. This is a coverage sack right here. Austin Hall is here.
Right. And drops,
he is like not blitzing.
Yeah, no, he drops back into coverage.
So he drops into coverage. This is obviously a 3rd and 16. And you'll just see here, step up. And Austin's like, okay, I have to attack, right? He basically passes the line of scrimmage.
He definitely did.
This is just a really bad football play by this quarterback.
Yeah, I think this was his first drive in. They brought him in after they benched Jordan McLeod, and
he must be a freshman, man, because that is a really bad football play.
Also, good to see Austin Hall back after missing a week.
Yeah, for sure. That was kind of a interesting sack.
Yeah, but it was
a sack.
Nonetheless.
Here we go.
How good is this?
So this is counter action.
And Cameron Wilson pulls from the backside of this play.
He's correct. He can block.
He can block.
He's a big.
He's a big body.
That's what I'm saying. And this is sort of a counter scheme. You'll see the guard pull as well as Cameron Wilson around, but obviously they don't give the necessary counter symptoms with the running backs. But this is just.
It took a little bit of a.
This is blocked up pretty well. Personally, I would like him to get up inside that, but
he's not a running back.
Hey, guess what?
He scored a touchdown.
It doesn't really matter. If I'm faster and stronger than you, I can go wherever the hell I want to run.
Yeah.
Wherever I see daylight, and that's what he did. But I still am dumbfounded the fact that Norvell thought to put him in the backfield and that it would be a good idea and that it would work. I never would have thought that given his body type, given the way he runs, but he is really good when he puts him with those 2 back sets.
Yeah, it's just like you said. It's being stronger and faster than everybody else. You kind of just end up making plays, and then he basically is just a touchdown machine. Yeah. He just scores a touchdown.
He's a big play machine is what he is. It's really fun to see. Here, this is on the 10-yard line, right?
Yep.
sort of first and goal, whatever it is. But I think this might be a.
Is it a G lead? Let's watch the
right guard. Watch the right guard.
See if Manny pulls.
Oh, G lead. And that's a lot. That's a crease. And this is what I was saying about Cameron Wilson. This is just a really good job blocking. He comes out here on this guy, realizes, okay, he's fighting outside. That's not my guy.
Let me go get to that linebacker.
Goes inside to the linebacker, leaves him for him. That's a
redshirt freshman that really hasn't played other than blocking and on the goal line, and he completely understands it.
That's textbook. That is absolutely positively for an inline tight end blocking scheme. Textbook. Really good job. Hats on hats.
Calvin Austin out there. Oh, that's DeMonte. Who's out here? Calvin. Calvin and DeMonte are both blocking very well down the field.
The only thing you'd like to see is Isaac Ellis get the seal on this guy, but that's a tough block. Yeah, that's a really tough block to go get that cut off.
That's a big man trying to get out there to a linebacker.
But trips him up, touchdown. Still what it is. One of the three.
Yeah, I think this was.
This is the second one, I believe.
No, this is the last one. This is the last one. Yeah. Because this is when they pulled everybody. They're like, okay.
Oh, he's mad.
He's getting fired.
That's
anyway.
the DC. I believe.
No,
that's not Charlie Strong.
Not Charlie Strong.
That's the defensive coordinator.
He's probably getting fired too.
He is beside himself. He has no idea what to do. And I'd feel that my head would be I wouldn't know what defense to call. Are they running? Are they passing? What kind of pass plays come in?
Are they giving it to 6, 14, 19? Who the hell's getting
the ball? They have everybody. Like I wouldn't know who to key on.
No, it's tough. You can't do anything about that. So, Gabe, we cut this week a little bit short because there is a massive game.
It's a big one.
Massive game coming up on Friday. I'm not going to say it decides if Memphis is AAC West champions or not, but it makes it a whole hell of a lot easier if they take care of business, because if they lose, then Navy has to lose to Houston, and Houston's not a very good football
Navy
team.
Can handle Houston.
Yeah, so Memphis has to take care of business. What are we looking for this week?
What we're looking for this week is to make sure that Memphis offense stays on track. This Cincinnati defense, I think, a lot of people make it out to be a little better than it actually is. I hate to say it, they gave up 43 to ECU and almost lost that game.
Right.
They went to USF. They could barely score with them, gave up 17 to USF and won by a field goal. If USF's kicker would have just made one of the 4 field goals he missed, they would win the game.
Right.
So I think Cincy is a little overblown in the fact that their defense is not as good as people make it out to be. They're 45th nationally. This is going to blow your mind. Memphis is 42nd nationally.
Yeah.
Memphis technically, on paper, has a better defense than the Cincinnati team. So I think when you look at what the keys to the game are, is Memphis staying on track offensively and making sure that at least don't give up big plays. Because Desmond Ridder, their quarterback, he's going through some shoulder injuries. Cincinnati's quarterback, that is. And he's been bad lately.
Yeah.
So just keep him sort of contained and don't give up big plays.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely want to keep the ball on the ground with Michael Warren. They rush for about 197 yards a game, and they pass for about 179 yards a game. So we obviously know what they want to do. And if you force them to throw the ball and try to hang with you scoring, they can't. They cannot do it. But if you turn the ball over, you make mistakes, you get behind the chains, you let this defense get some momentum, then you could be in trouble because they can control the clock. Michael Warren is a really good running back.
Yeah.
He can definitely give defenses trouble, but I think your point's perfect. I don't think their defense is as good as their rankings are. Yeah. I think they allow 19 points a game. So, I mean, the statistics are good.
Are fine.
But I think a lot of that has to do with a fairly easy schedule, and if you look at the games that they played earlier in the season, they attribute a lot to that. Because, like you said, ECU had a field day on them. And I'm not taking anything away from Holton Ahlers because he's a good quarterback.
He's been good.
But I don't think that they can stop Memphis. I don't think they can stop Memphis. I don't think there are many defenses in the country, and definitely not in the American, that can stop Memphis. So I think that is the key. You got to score points. You got to score points early. You cannot allow them to control the clock and play their game. It's kind of like playing against Navy in a way.
Yeah,
you can't let them control the clock, and because that's the only way they can win.
It's like playing against Navy, except they don't try to do that.
Right.
Michael Warren is a guy, like you sort of alluded to. They do try to play this ball control now because that's all they can do. Michael Warren will take the ball 24, 25 times a game. That's what they like to do. He's good. He's a big body blows running back, but he's not a big, pop outside and get a big play. He's not that type of guy. They have to make sure they have to account for Desmond Ridder's feet, the quarterback, because he has some legs, but throwing the ball is just not an option for him. He's gone 18 for 43 the past 2 weeks. That is not efficient. That's not even 50%. So He has a lot of work to do to be able to compete with this Memphis defense and this Memphis offense. I think bare bone, cut and dry, their floor is 28 to 35 points at this point with everything they have, with how Brady White's playing. I think the cut and dry bottom floor is 35 points for them. So, I mean, they have been looking so good. And this Cincinnati defense, while they do have a decent sort of track record, I just don't think they can hold down this Memphis offense.
Yeah, I don't think they can. And I think with playing against an offense like Cincinnati's and like Michael Warren, I think Memphis has shown that they are actually really good against the run when it's in between the tackles.
Yes, absolutely.
When players get outside and they break contain that Memphis has trouble. That's why they've had trouble with running quarterbacks this year. Now there were a couple of plays inside that USF run like we just watched with Kelly Joyner. But those were on inside zones out of shotgun.
Early in the game.
Yeah, early in the game. And Cincinnati, they do. I mean, they obviously run out of shotgun because what offense in the country doesn't these days? But they run under center as well. That's more of their bread and butter than running inside zones and stuff like that. So I think that plays into an advantage for Memphis. When you look at Temple, their running back's name slipped my brain, but he's
Raymond Davis.
Yeah,
very similar.
Yeah, very similar player, bowling ball type player. And they really shut him down. I think he had 20 carries for 62 yards. So it takes more of a scat back or a quarterback that can run and get outside to hurt this Memphis defense than an inside runner.
And I'll tell you one thing. They are past all the big passing games. They're not going to see, until a bowl game that theoretically a guy that can throw the ball very well. I think
they only saw one this year anyway.
When you look at the USF team and you look at the Cincinnati team, I think there's a lot of foils that can be made. I think they're very similar in makeup. They have a good defensive team. They make plays with their linebackers and their safeties. Their D-line's not all that good, but they can hurt you in a different way. But offensively, they're both just not there. They have been really bad in the back half of the season, and it's really hard to imagine Cincinnati or any team in this conference keeping up with Memphis from a points per game standpoint.
Yeah, I think the only team offensively that can keep up with them is SMU.
Yep.
I honestly believe that because that's the only quarterback that can match Brady White. That's the only offense that can really get close to Memphis.
We saw it.
That's the only offense that can get close to Memphis as far as skill players go. So I completely agree with that point. But I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Give me a score prediction. Let's hear it.
A score prediction, I'm going to go. So the line is what? It was started at 12.5.
I think it's down to like 9. Yeah.
I think they cover. I thought they would have covered the 12.5 personally.
Yeah.
I like 41-23 Tigers. That's what I like.
I think I'm gonna go 38-20.
Okay.
I think
so still the cover. You still got.
Yeah, I still think they cover. I think it's what we've seen every week. I think it's early in the game. I think the first drive Cincinnati has, they're gonna pound down the field. Michael Warren's probably gonna score a short goal line touchdown. And then Adam Fuller is gonna get on top of it and be like, "Hey guys, they want to run the ball
inside. They can do one thing."
And fortunately, you have the linebackers with the way that Austin Hall and J.J. Russell have shown that they can play the inside run. You have O'Brien Goodson, Jonathan Wilson, Joseph Dorsey. So you have these guys that can play that. They'll adjust. They'll kind of shut that down, and then Cincinnati might score a couple points in the second half. But I think Memphis will control this game after the first possession.
But the kicker is, doesn't matter if they cover this week because theoretically, if they win and cover, they're going to have to come back in the Liberty Bowl and play this Cincinnati team yet again in the championship. So this could be a very interesting end to the American Athletic Conference season.
Can they beat them twice? Because Cincinnati has the East
talent-wise,
locked down. Can they beat them twice?
Talent-wise, absolutely. But when you play a team more than once in a year, you start to pick up on tendencies. And there's a lot of film out on both these teams.
Right.
So I don't think there's going to be any surprises come game time. But when you play a team twice, that always poses, some difficult things. But I think, this Memphis team has the talent to do it. They just got to go do it.
Did you ever have to do that? Did you ever have to play a team twice?
We played UCF twice, but the first time, it was in 2017.
Yeah.
First time we got killed.
Yeah,
we got spanked, and we were in Orlando. It was a makeup game.
Was it rain? Was it rain in that game? Did it rain that game?
It rained for a little bit.
That's what I thought.
And then the second game, we went there, and it was a way more competitive game because we had seen them before. We knew what to expect. We weren't going to come in emotionless, and it was a way closer game. We should have won it. We had opportunity after opportunity, and we didn't. But again, trying to beat a team twice in 1 year is really hard to do. But this Tiger team has the makeup too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think they can. It's difficult though. It's very difficult. Cincinnati is let's give them credit. They're a well-coached football team.
I think Luke Fickell's done a really good job.
He's done an incredible job.
But I think, when it comes to his personnel and who he has offensively on that team, they haven't been playing up to snuff. Whereas last year they did. Desmond Ridder was a good player last year. But the back half of this season, he is really struggling. I think it has to do with some injuries that he's been fighting through.
Yeah, I think they can. Hopefully we get to see it. I think it would be awesome to see it back-to-back years. First time a conference championship be played in Memphis.
Yep.
I believe. I could be wrong on that, but first time a conference.
Definitely first time in American athletic.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would just be obviously an awesome atmosphere. It'd be another. I mean, when you think about it, the SMU game was incredible atmosphere-wise. I'm assuming that Friday is going to be pretty incredible. And if
get your butt to the game, man. I don't care what the forecast says. This is a historic day for this program, and if you don't make it out there, it's just not good, man. We got to get out there and we got to make it happen for this team, man. I don't care what the forecast says. I don't care if it's a Friday. I don't care if it's Black Friday. I don't care what you did the night before. Get your butt to the Liberty Bowl.
Gabe's going to come find you if you don't.
Yeah.
He's pretty intimidating. I have to sit next to him every week. But no, I think it would be back-to-back great atmosphere games. Hopefully we get to see it. And then hopefully Memphis can win because I want to see what they look like against a top 10 team in the country. I think it would be interesting, obviously.
A little Cotton Bowl action.
I think the fans would be very interested to see
that for
too.
Sure, man.
And has Memphis went 11-1 before?
No, this would be in. Also, that's another reason. Thank you for reminding me. That's another reason to get to Liberty Bowl. This will be the first team that has won 11 games in Memphis football history. If they win on Friday. Right. So, I mean, there's so many. Just count the laundry list of reasons to go buy a ticket to the dang game. It's not that much. Get yourself to Liberty Bowl.
Gabe wants to set records out here.
Absolutely, man. This program's been through a lot, and the turnaround and the levels and how high that Mike Norvell has brought this program is really cool to see.
Well, that's all for us this week. Hopefully, we're back next week.
Yeah.
And the next week. Hopefully, we still have a couple more episodes.
What do you mean, hopefully? We should be back.
I mean, we'll be back next week regardless, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, we might still have a few more of these in us, so hopefully they can keep picking up wins. With that being said, head over to GoTigers247.com. Check out all the content we got there. Football's rolling. Basketball's rolling. Both teams nationally top 20.
Everything's rolling.
Keeping me busy. Keeping Gabe busy over at Sports 56.
35 articles a week.
That's about right. It doesn't sound possible, but somehow it happens. You got me off track there a little bit. Make sure to head over to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Listen to the TKT podcast with Gabe and his brother Alex. NFL, college football, college basketball. Talk about pretty much everything on a weekly basis. Got some great insight.
Picks are coming around too. The picks are coming around.
Getting better?
Betting advice is getting there, man. I'm telling you.
As soon as people start using your betting advice.
Oh, see now that I called it out.
Stay hot before we start giving betting advice.
It's been 3 weeks in a row, man. 8 and 9.
8 and
3 a week. 3 a week. 8 and 9.
Okay.
8 and 1 in the past 3 weeks.
Okay, maybe listen to the guy. Are you actually making these bets, or are you just saying?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay, well, so Gabe's not even profiting off his own brain. But anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll be back here next week.